Hello there. Oh, silly moustache. Sorry I haven't been around. It's getting a little bit more difficult to find the lighting and time at the moment. But I want to answer a query from Mauricio Castillo. I hope I pronounced that right. Asking me why Collings guitars and why not Martin, Taylor, Santa Cruz, etc. What a good question. Okay, yeah. For many years, from 75 to 96, I had a Martin D35, and I was absolutely in love with it. I had no issues with it whatsoever. Did everything, and it went through my bluegrass band period and everything like that. Beautiful guitar. I was in a trio, and we were getting quite successful, and I told myself that I wanted a matched pair of Martins. So foolishly I sold that D35 to a good friend of mine who still has it, and it still sounds exquisite, and I bought myself a Martin J40 and a Martin J1240, matched pair of 12 string and 6 string, and they did not work for me at all. And the reason was that whilst the 6 string had a 1 11/16 nut width, like my old D35, it also had a very, very shallow neck, and I just really couldn't get on with it. I was opening for a gentleman called Isaac Guillory at a club, and I was telling him about this problem that I had, and he gave me his Martin D35S. The S is the standard model. It was a 12 fret dreadnought, slotted headstock, 1 7/8 nut width, and instantly it solved all my problems. Michael Watts has a video about Junior, which is that very guitar, on YouTube. I'll try and put a link to that in this. So I went on a search for a Martin 12 fret wide-necked D35, D18, 28 or 35. Couldn't find one anywhere. Even went to the States in 98, had a look around there, couldn't find one. So one day I was in London looking around all the shops, looking for something that would work. Oh, I should say, I did find one. I bought a Bourgeois DS260. It was an exquisite guitar, a wonderful guitar, but it had a 1 3/4 nut width and a very shallow neck, and again it didn't quite work for me, but it was a beautiful guitar and I was sorry to part with it. But I was in a shop called the Acoustic Centre in Wapping by Tower Bridge, and a sales assistant, to whom I will always be grateful, called Seamus Brady, asked me exactly what I was looking for, and he made a note, and just a few weeks later he called me up and said, "Are you still looking for a 12 fret wide neck flat top guitar?" And I said, "Yes, I am." And he said, "Well, come up on Saturday and bring everything you could bear to part with." Which is what I did, including the Bourgeois. And he had for me assembled a Martin HD28 VS 12 fret, a Santa Cruz D12 12 fret, my Bourgeois DS260 of course, and a Collings DS2H. Didn't really know much about Collings, and he left me alone. He tried them. He was great. He changed the strings for me on all of them at once so we could compare them. I spent quite a lot of time, but I kind of knew right away that the Collings was the one. Now sadly, that was 1999, and it was the second DS2H to come into the country, and the first one had been going around all the magazines and things for reviews, and someone in Guitarist magazine said, "This is the best dreadnought guitar I've ever played." There you are, I've said it. You know, this is a guitar reviewer. So I got the second one. And for reasons I won't go into now, I sold it earlier this year. Kind of regret it, but I still got 3. This is now my oldest Collings guitar. Let me explain the magic of this for me. The nut width is 1 13/16. The string spacing is 2 3/8. So I've got slightly wider string spacing that you might expect on a dreadnought, and certainly a wider neck. the 12th fret wasn't the issue. The slotted headstock wasn't the issue. It was how it fitted my hands. I've got fat fingers. And I could see straight away that the presentation was perfect on the DS28. I have had one or two issues, inquiries with Collings, and their customer service has been absolutely wonderful. Excuse me. So that's the Collingses. Why didn't I buy Martins? Well, the Martin just didn't fit my hand as well as the other one. They make other 12 frets, but I do have a Martin. This is my Martin D1220. Wonderful guitar. It looks like a Martin D1235, I know, but it was rebuilt in 1998. And I had this, I couldn't find one like this, but I found one on American eBay. It was this one. And everybody on all the forums said it's not a genuine Martin because it's got that D35 finish, but he says it's a D1220. So there's something dodgy about it. Don't touch it. Nobody touched it but me. I contacted the chap, who was rather confused as to why he wasn't getting any inquiries. In 1964, first year of production, but rebuilt in 1998 with these customised ebony fretboard and bridge and an adjustable truss rod, and in perfect condition. And so he agreed to ship it to me in the UK. Everybody that ships things to other countries thinks that they're all going to be bandits and scammers and things like that, but I made sure that he received the money and was satisfied with the money, and then he sent it to me, and so all was fine. It was received here in perfect condition. Why don't I have Santa Cruz's? I do. My Santa Cruz. I love my 12 fret dreadnoughts. I wonder why I didn't have Gibsons. Gibsons have not been good news for me, but I do have Gibson, which I shall show you in a moment. But the only 12 fret wide fretboard guitar that Gibson's ever made was a Hawaiian guitar called a Roy Smeck. Jackson Brown and a few other people discovered that if you had one of these Hawaiian guitars converted to Spanish style with a round profile and things like that, they made a particularly nice throaty sound. Very, very deep body, 5-inch deep body there. And Santa Cruz decided to make some modelled on those original Roy Smecks or whatever. And they're not allowed to call it a Roy Smeck. That's probably copyright or something, but they call it an RS. There we go. I finally ran one down. I had a chance to play one at a festival or something like that in the UK. It was a bit battered and it wasn't for sale, but I thought, yeah, I quite fancy that. And again, with the Santa Cruz, 1 13/16 neck, 12 fret, can't remember what the spacing is, but it's a short scale, so a little bit different in style to my treadmill. A jumbo, it's a 12 fret jumbo. And so I saw one in a shop in New Hampshire, Northern Lights, and I phoned up the chap and I had a talk with him, and I saw the price and I ummed and ahed a little bit. Principle was that yes, he would ship it to me, and I had to think about it, and then I phoned him back and said, okay, I will buy that guitar from you. And he said, that guitar's been hanging up on the wall here for over a year, and it's just sold minutes ago. Someone's just bought it online. Okay. He said, but don't worry. He said, I can get one built for you, and you can have any spec you like. That's interesting. But of course, you know, price would be at a top retail price. And so I ummed and ahed a little bit more, a couple of months I think, and then I saw a Santa Cruz Royce mech on American eBay. Made contact with the chap, and it turns out that he was the one that bought this very guitar from Northern Lights a couple of months ago. He'd always fancied one, but his shoulders really couldn't cope with the depth. Initially reluctant to ship it to some strange foreigner, but we came to an agreement. I didn't argue with his asking price, and I paid for all the shipping and insurance and everything, which costs a lot more. And when I import things from the UK, when anybody imports things from the US into the UK, you pay an excise charge, which is between 3 and 6%, and then 20% VAT on everything, the shipping, the insurance, the excise charge and everything. So it costs a few bit. So he sent this to me, and that I do have a Santa Cruz, and I would have another Santa Cruz if one came up that I could afford. I have the greatest respect for them, as I do with Bourgeois. Gibson flat tops have been problematic for me. I had a J50 in the late 60s, early 70s, and I couldn't get it to resonate. It was dead to me, and never found one that I liked. The Gibsons that are coming over into the UK always seem to have some sort of problem with them. But then again, I've been spoilt by Collings guitars, the quality, the build quality and the presentation of Collings guitars. In 2007 I retired, and I decided that I was going to learn to play jazz guitar. The chap I went to teach me had a Gibson L5, and I thought it was a thing of great beauty, and it was a 1934 one. This is not a Gibson L5, this is a Gibson L4. This is the only guitar that I bought from an American dealer in Seattle, who really did not do this transaction very well. He failed to advise me of some damage on it. He told me that it had been completely set up. He failed to tell me that there was virtually no frets left on it at all, so it had to be done. And because of its age, it was exempt from excise duty if a certain Her Majesty's Customs and Excise detail was put on the box, which he failed to do. So in the end it ended up costing me considerably more, and he was not receptive to compensating me for that. But it's and it's exactly what it should be. 1934, with the raised neck extension. This is a rhythm box. This is a tuned hi-hat for a dance band or something like that, and I have never done it justice, but it's lovely to have. 1934 Gibson. If I could find another Gibson that would suit me perfectly, I would. The other brand that you mentioned was Taylor. Taylor make very fine guitars. I'm funny in that I love Martins. I got loads and loads of books on Martins. I've researched them a lot. I've had a lot of Martins in my day. I forgot what I was going to say. Yes, I've got this thing. If it doesn't look like a Martin, or if it doesn't look like a Gibson, it doesn't look right. Taylors went their own way, and I applaud them for that. They made their own designs, and that's fine, but they just don't call to me. So I've got nothing bad to say about Taylors. They just don't call to me. But my Collings do, and they make a 1931 style design dreadnought, and that's precious. And they also make a triple O. I've got a triple O Collings, which was the second Collings I bought, 2003, same age as this one. And every Collings that I bought, apart from the very first one, I bought off eBay or via eBay, and all the transactions have been fine, and everything turned up being exactly what it was supposed to be. So I've never had any problems there. And the customer service for Collings, I've had some inquiries, and some other business, and they've always been absolutely great. And I can't say that for certain other brands that I've had experience with. So there we are. I've got my Martin 12 string. I've got my Gibson archtop. I've got my Santa Cruz rice mech. And I've got a couple of other guitars that were made in the UK. And I've got a National, and I've got a Dobro. And there we are. Oh, and I've got a Harmony. Yeah, a couple of Harmonies actually. Smashing guitars. So it's not just Collings, but the price of Collings now, I'm not going to be buying another one, I don't think. So I hope, Maurizio, that has answered your question, and thank you for posing it. And folks, thank you for posing other questions. I've got a challenge on to talk about blues styles and things. As I don't consider myself a blues player, that's a bit of a challenge, but I'm working on it. So if you have been, thanks for watching. Bye.